Well, these martial law test runs beginning here with Jade Helm going into motion full swing, and all the confusion, all the talk, all the hype, all the mainstream media wanting to say it's conspiracy this, conspiracy that, and now not even they are allowed to get in and report on it, has even some of their outlets saying, all right, now what's going on here? Because, oh, well, they're not privy to go in and see what's going down here. You see? And it's only then that you start to see that, okay, they're trying to keep this thing sealed off all the way around to where no one sees anything that's going down. They're trying to move across the countryside in our backyards, across state borders, through state by state by state, pulling off these operations, blending in with the public, and by their own admission here, Army Special Operation Command, Mark Lastoria, tried to fight away fears of this being a takeover of the United States and said that they are training here part of military practice of covert warfare tactics and martial law. That's where the martial law aspect comes into this. He said it. It's part of it in mastering the human domain. Okay? The big question is where are they training for? That's the question. And, I know all too often I've heard so many people say, what do you care about the war over there for? Let them deal with it. We're free. You should be happy you're here. Oh, right. Just turn the cheek, right? And let them slaughter these other kids and families, right? You see, it's when it happens to you, there's going to be no one there to help you. Let's remember these key spots they have marked on this map as well. Texas, Utah, this LSC event, which I will be passing through. If I see anything, I'm going to pull up live stream so everyone can see what's going down. And we have this insurgent pocket right here. And all the talk of, the mainstream media, oh, Jade Helm, it's a conspiracy theory. And the word conspiracy serving like magic, because as soon as you say it, they want to laugh. Ah, conspiracy. It's all Jade Helm. You see what they've done with it? It's just that easy of a sigil to pull off on the sheep. But the fact is this. It's not a conspiracy. It's a real deal military operation, a realistic military training focusing on mastering the human domain in urban settings, blending in with the population, using covert tactics, and training for martial law. That is by their own admission. The big question is where? Where are they going then? You see, and you can guess all day. But when I have vets coming in mass, and I'm talking veterans, coming to me in mass, concerned, like, this ain't right. They train terrain specific. Rules of engagement. All these things. I start to see, okay, this is even bigger than I thought. And it's not in a sense to where 1,200 men are going to come through and enforce martial law. And not even 12,000 men would pull that off. It's what's happening they're not telling you about. Guys, I've been trying to tell you this whole time. Haven't you seen it? I know you've seen it. You guys have been sending it to me. Footage, pictures of rigs, choppers in the skies, trains carrying loads of equipment, APCs, Hummers, tanks, all over the place. And that was all before Jade Helm even kicked off. And I said, this is beyond Jade Helm. This is way bigger than Jade Helm. And when I went digging, the one thing I found that matched all this was OpCon 2022. Taking it all the way out to the year 2022, doing the same thing, but on a larger scale, mastering the human domain, focusing in on urban ultra extremists and how to deal with them, and things of that nature. That's real deal. It's not a conspiracy, it's real deal. Real deal. So I have to ask the question, if they ever did expect to train, to prepare for martial law in this country, what would it look like? Would they announce it? What would they call it? Where would they hold it? How would they describe it and cover it up? It's time to start asking common sense questions, and you'll find your answers. But one thing's for sure, 1,200 troops are not going to be pulling off no martial law in this country. But 1,200 is just a number that they've put out there. You've seen Raider Focus have 3 times the amount of troops went down. Huge operation out of nowhere. You see all this other military activity going on coast to coast. People worried about 1,200 troops. I've said it before, this is bigger than Jade Helm. Okay, a lot bigger. And Jade Helm is going to come and pass, and who knows, a false flag or two may pop off in the mix. But then what? Just from hearing from you veterans out there that are showing concern and seeing the National Guard in Ferguson and Baltimore and knowing they didn't even want to be there, I have a hard time believing this military will ever stand up fighting against its own people the way that they're trying to portray it out here as these 1,200 troops are going to impose martial law. Never like that. It's the big secret army that they're not telling you about that you should worry about. And you're never going to hear about them until you see them in the streets. I can guarantee you that. You'll never hear a peep of it. They're beta testing. They're doing all the beta testing with our troops out here to see how people will react, what they can get away with, what they can't get away with, to make it that much easier when it's go time. See? A lot of psychological aspects tied into this. But one thing's for sure. It's concerning when something of this nature, when they specifically say that it's about martial law, although they say that it's about going around the globe, they keep it so secretive and they don't allow any media access in our own backyards. You know, when they'll send Geraldo over to the battlefield in Iraq. Makes no sense why you would want to throw more fuel on the fire. And like I said, you've seen all this military activity across this country well before Jade Helm even popped off. This is way bigger than Jade Helm. But I just wanted to set the record straight here for anyone out there that hears anything confusing about Jade Helm on what others may be saying, how the mainstream media may be twisting it. Just do what I'm telling you here. Look at the facts. Go look at the facts. Look at the quotes coming from the spokesman, from the generals. I've put the video out of them talking from the horse's mouth. It's like 30, 40 minutes long, explaining the whole process. See it for yourself. Don't listen to the other crap, how anyone else wants to spin it. Listen to what they say. Take it in, fill it out, and see for yourself what you think here with all the details. Like I said before, they can label something a conspiracy theory and just call it a conspiracy theory, and then people are just going to turn a cheek and laugh it off. That's dangerous. Because anytime any kind of military operations are going on in your backyard and they don't want no one to see it, I don't care what no one says. That's concerning. But I'll continue to keep you guys updated with information as I come across it, sharing any footage anyone sends in here. And you have to ask yourself, what is it going on across this country if it's not Jade Helm? That's what I want people to focus on and realize here, that this is way bigger than just Jade Helm. This OpCon 2022. And you also have to keep in mind here that with them cutting the number of our troops and with them doing all these different things, if they were to send all of our troops off to somewhere, that means that they've got a big war they're planning for here that they're not saying a word about that's going to affect us as well. Okay? So let's look at it like that. If they're really training to do what they're talking about, that means they're getting ready to do something big in another country that we're about to go to war with. It's not going to be Iraq. It's not going to be Syria. It's not going to be none of these places we're already in. It's going to be something. Who's that leave out there? Do you really buy that? How well are they going to blend in China? How come they're not practicing for that? Didn't think so. That's where it all starts to fall apart. And like I said before, aside from Jade Helm, all these other drills and exercises we've seen, the Marines, National Guard, they were working together with who? Local police for riot control. Oh, I guess that's all for overseas too? You send in the police too? No. That's where it all starts to fall apart. It's for here. And do you think they would ever come out and tell you that it's for here? What would that look like? Let's say that this isn't for having anything to do with focusing on the cities here in the United States. What would it look like then? What would they call it? How would they get away with doing it right in front of the people? Think it might look anything like this? Just might. One thing's for sure, 1,200 troops ain't going to cut it. It's that big, secret force, that universal army they have on deck they're not saying a peep about, that's going to do the job. All this is psychological beta testing, in my opinion. Even through several false flags. If we see some throughout the whole Jade Helm time frame. Stay vigilant, guys. You guys get footage out there, strange activity, anything you want to get out there, let me know. I'll share it. I'm going to stay on top of this because, like I said, this is way bigger than Jade Helm. And all of you guys sending this stuff in from across the country proves it. So what do we call it? Besides the conspiracy. Call it a huge military uptick in this country, and that's real deal. It's been Dabu 7. Much love.